The house was silent in a way that felt unnatural, like it was holding its breath just for me. I noticed it the moment I stepped inside, a heaviness pressing against my chest without reason. Even the air felt older than it should have been. The inheritance had seemed like a blessing at first, a forgotten property waiting to be claimed. But the moment I crossed the threshold, something inside me shifted. It felt less like entering a house and more like being noticed by it. That first night I heard the attic before I ever saw it. Faint movement above me, slow and deliberate, broke the silence just as I was drifting into sleep. It stopped the moment I focused on it, as if aware of my attention. I told myself it was settling wood, the natural sounds of an old structure. But the sound had rhythm, almost like breathing hidden above the ceiling. That thought alone made it impossible to sleep. By morning, the house looked normal again, almost inviting in daylight. Sunlight softened the corners and made everything feel less threatening. But the memory of that sound lingered like a bruise I couldn't ignore. I found myself drawn upward without meaning to, toward the attic stairs. Each step felt heavier than the last, as if the house was resisting my movement. Still, I continued until I reached the door. The attic smelled different from the rest of the house, stale and slightly damp. Dust floated in thick clouds as I pushed the door open. The air felt colder even though nothing should have changed. Inside, everything looked ordinary at first glance. Old furniture, covered boxes, and forgotten items filled the space. But something about the arrangement felt unnatural, too controlled to be random. Then I saw it for the first time, a section of floor that didn't match the rest. The wood there was newer, cleaner, and slightly different in tone. It stood out like a repaired wound that didn't belong. Knelt down, running my fingers over the surface. It felt smoother than the surrounding planks, almost polished in comparison. A strange unease settled in my stomach as I touched it. When I tapped it lightly, the sound echoed deeper than expected. It didn't respond like solid wood, but like something hollow beneath it. That echo lingered longer than it should have. That night, the sound returned again, louder than before. It came from the same spot above my head, slow scraping, followed by a pause. It felt deliberate, like something testing boundaries. I lay awake listening as the rhythm repeated in uneven cycles. It wasn't random anymore, it felt intentional. Something was learning the space above me. At exactly 2:47 a.m., the sound stopped completely. The silence that followed felt heavier than the noise itself. I remember thinking that the quiet was not relief, but preparation. Then came a knock from above, soft and precise. It wasn't frantic or accidental, but controlled. That single sound changed everything I thought I understood. The next day I couldn't ignore it anymore. I began searching for answers about the house, hoping logic would weaken what I was feeling. But the deeper I looked, the worse it became. Old records described the property in fragments, never fully consistent. Each account seemed to avoid details about the attic. That avoidance itself felt suspicious. Every previous owner had reported disturbances from above. Scratching, whispering, and movement were mentioned repeatedly. Yet none of them stayed long enough to explain why. One name appeared more than the others. A man who lived here alone for nearly 20 years. According to records, he disappeared without warning. No explanation was ever found. What unsettled me most was a single recurring detail across reports. A section of attic floor that was always described as recently repaired. That phrase appeared too often to be coincidence. It matched exactly what I had seen. The newer wood, the strange placement, the unnatural stillness beneath it. It wasn't new at all. It had been there far longer than me. That night, I returned to the attic with a flashlight and a crowbar. I told myself I needed answers, even as my hands shook. The air felt heavier with every step I took upward. The attic greeted me differently this time, as if it expected me. The silence wasn't empty anymore. It felt occupied. I moved toward the mismatched floor, unable to stop myself. The wood beneath it creaked softly like something responding from below. I pressed my ear close and listened. At first, there was nothing. Then came a dragging sound, slow and wet, moving beneath the surface. What? It stopped suddenly as if it knew I was listening. I wedged the crowbar into the seam and pushed. The wood resisted, then cracked open with a sound that felt too loud for the space. Cold air rushed upward from the opening, carrying a smell that made my stomach turn. I pulled another plank free, widening the gap. Darkness stretched beneath the attic, deeper than it should have been. My flashlight revealed beams, dirt, and marks carved into the wood below. Scratches layered over scratches, forming patterns of desperation. Then I saw a photograph buried in the dirt. A man standing in front of this very house, forced expression on his face. Behind him, a shadow pressed against a window from inside. My hands trembled as I pulled it out. The edges were damp, as if recently exposed. Shouldn't have been possible. More objects were scattered below. Personal belongings, fabric, broken items. Some looked disturbingly recent. That realization hit harder than anything else. This wasn't history. This was ongoing. Then I saw it, a hand pale and half buried in the dirt below. It moved. The attic changed instantly. The air tightened, and the flashlight flickered violently. The hand dragged slightly, then paused. A face began to form in the darkness, not fully visible, but aware. Whispers rose from beneath the floor, overlapping and broken. "You opened it," they repeated, over and over. Sound filled the attic like a verdict. I stumbled back as the boards shifted beneath me. The opening widened further with a sharp crack. The house was no longer silent, it was responding. The attic door slammed shut behind me, locking itself. And beneath my feet, something breathed.